in the beginning, but it doesn't matter. They're having fun. And if you don't have fun with your music and you take it too serious, then you're in trouble. And I'm not used to sitting on a stool. I'm used to standing. But the boys think I'm getting so old and decrepit they get stools up here. I'm giving birth to a stool.
I don't like stools either.
Okay, and now you asked me anything.
Right, well, me and Roni were talking before the show, and she was telling me a little bit about her family and her growing up, and well,
Yeah.
I'd love to hear more about the Stoneman family and your history.
I'm going to have to come back sometime and bring you the cylinder player and the cylinder records that I have with Daddy.
Oh,
And
we
Mom.
would love that. We would
And
love
I will
that.
set it up here, and we and I can talk and have a good time talking about the history of country music.
Right.
See, in 1924, Daddy went to New York. He was a mountain man from the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia. His name was Ernest Stoneman, but we all, later on called him Pop, because he had 23 children, 5 sets of twins. Him and Mom liked each other a lot. They held hands a lot. But, you know, but no, our mother, she was hard of hearing. And Daddy would come home and say, "You want to go to sleep or what?" And she'd say, "What?" But anyway, they really liked each other. They worked hard to support us. And Daddy made our musical instruments because he didn't have anything else. And it was a one-room house in Maryland after the Depression. Daddy, most of the people from Southwest Virginia went into D.C., Washington, D.C., to find work because there was nothing going on in the hills. So Daddy came and he tried to find a job and worked to try to find a job. And he finally got one little job. And he got a job, and then he got another one. But he made our musical instruments because he was good with wood. He was a carpenter in the old days. Father was a preacher, and Mama, she was a Southern lady. And she played the fiddle from her grandfather, my grandfather, Phil Frost. He played the banjo and the fiddle. And they played and they sang. And a lot of people in the hills of Virginia, they brought their talent and their culture into Washington, D.C. At one time, Howie, this is true, one time, Washington, D.C. had better musicians in it than Nashville ever had.
Wow.
Because a lot of people came there looking for work. And they brought their instruments or their homemade. They would make them. The fiddle players, you'll notice, that better fiddle players are from old-time fiddlers now. They're from North Carolina and Virginia. The fiddle players are better fiddle players from North Carolina and Virginia, and they come in, and they've been coming in from, the mountains trying to find a way to make a living. And they would play music for themselves and their family and friends. And that's Daddy brought us. I was born in 38, in the latter part of the Depression, but it was still a Depression, and we had all them kids. And the first time I was on stage was at Constitution Hall in Washington, D.C., and I was 4.5 years old. That was the first time. And my brothers had a band, and they came up as the Stoneman brothers, and we came as a family because they said Daddy's music was too old-timey, and they didn't want to play with them because they had electric instruments. But we won the contest, and we were 62 weeks on television every Saturday night.
Wow.
And we never had it. We never saw a television.
Right.
So anyway, Donna, my sister, played the mandolin when she was 8 years old, and Daddy had made her a little banjo mandolin. And you'll have to get her to do her show. Or go interview Donna somewhere. But anyway, she played, and I remember so well how we all played and sang. And she came home from school and she said, "Daddy, what's a television?" Now, we had been on it about 10 weeks. Weekends, And then she said, Daddy said, "And what do you want to know for it?" And he said, "Well, a girl at school said she saw me on television." And Daddy said, "Hattie, I'm taking the youngins up to a Watkins hardware store because he's got some televisions up there and the youngins want to know what it is." We had been on television for 10 weeks.
They'd never seen one.
Never knew what one was. But when we went up there, he had 3 televisions, and the it was real small. You know, it was like that phone, smaller than that phone, and we saw people on it. We had 10 to 12 of us up there, and lined us up, and the man, you know how it was in a music man, and they said, how, you know, they'd say, hi, Papa Stoneman, hi, Papa Stoneman, and he said, well, my youngins want to see what a television is. So he showed it to us, and I said, so that's a television. So that's how we learned. We wasn't on the television at that time, you know, when the man was showing us. It was just little people. And I was going, oh, okay. And now, then years later, we had our own television show too in the Nashville area. And then I went from that to a sex symbol. Hee-haw. So that's it. Now you know.
Now we know. And knowing is half the battle.
Now, you come ask me about anything about hee-haw, I don't mind.
All right. Well, first off, I've been sitting here listening to you, and I'm looking at this guitar strap.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my Lord. I love it.
Well, let me tell you why you do.
I was going to just get ready to ask you about it.
I had an old boyfriend years ago. That was,
No, it's not me.
I had a boyfriend years ago in Beaumont, Texas, and he was a probation officer for that area. And then later on, he became the probation officer for home, you know, state of Texas. So he had a guy that was on death row to make this for me.
That is just so beautiful.
And I said, I'm going to write it and thank him. He said, don't you dare. He must have been a doozy. That is a pretty story.
That is beautiful.
I guess he had plenty of time. But anyway, I'm sorry, I thank him for it to this day. Now what?
Well,
Am I doing okay?
you're doing great, Ronnie.
Promise?
Oh, man.
Because I don't, this is such a laid-back show. It ain't like uptight like so many.
No. What
And,
they back
and I
there.
can take my shoes off if I want to.
That's right. Just like you were back in the cornfield.
I know, and I cleaned up just for you, too.
Oh,
You see,
that
my
just
limits,
makes-
I brought my new
Oh, I
limits.
love those
Ooh.
boots.
I did, and I'm really proud of them.
Well,
I
I'll
broke
tell you what.
a lot of binder strings for
I'll
you.
tell you, I've had a lot of guests on my show, but I've never had one as pretty as you.
Well,
That's
honey, I
right.
cleaned up because I know how handsome you are.
I'm probably turned about as red as,
No, you're
what's red? The red of this wall, if not redder.
okay. Now, can you tell me, like you want to ask?
Oh, Lord. Well, so you were on Hee Haw for a long, long time.
25 years.
5 years.
He always 27 on there at that time, yes.
And how was it? You know, Grandpa Jones was one of my favorites.
I met him when I was 4.5 years old. I didn't even know it. He was gluing his mustache and his eyebrows on. And in those days, he had to look old. He started making himself look old. We was playing at the Constitution Hall. And we had an old truck. When you brought that in, you shouldn't have done it because I can out-talk you. But anyway, they opened the door and here comes the Stoneman family at Constitution Hall in D.C., okay? And we come in because there was a contest going on. Connie B. Gay. He later became the creator of the CMA. But we didn't know that then after my brothers knocked him down the stairs. They got to fight. I don't know. And I was a little kid.
I'm glad she's holding my arm and not having to fall off this stool out.
Now you're going to learn all the true stuff. This is so laid back, I can tell you anything I want. But I would never forget it. That Rainy Maryland, there at the Melody Ballroom, they knocked him downstairs. And his legs and arms and everything flying. It was terrible. But anyway, back to the mutiny. So anyway, Grandpa was on the show. He wasn't in the contest. He was on the show as, just a show. And Connie began really liked him. But I didn't know him. And so I had new shoes. My brother was in the Pacific, and he sent me some shoes. Mommy some money to buy me and Donna some shoes. And Mommy made us a feed set dress. And so I get in there, and I'm always interested into everything. Donna's different. She was quiet and sweet. But I go diggy, and I thought I could slide. I had my first new shoes, and slide in. So I looked down at the end of the hallway was a dressing room on the left-hand side, and I saw this old man in there. I thought it was old man. And he was gluing mustache on, his mustache, And I pushed the chair up to the dressing table, and there's mirrors all around, and I got to staring at him, and I had that crooked eye. Remember my crooked eye? It was over here because it was a bad, weak muscle. But anyway, I got in there, I tried to stare at him. Me and Raymond Fairchild, the banjo player that was cross-sighted, we never did see eye to eye. And we'd get on the stage, and I said, Raymond, we're going to have to do an album called Seeing Eye to Eye with Ronnie and Raymond. But it never did come to pass. But anyway, I told him that we've got to see eye to eye. And his eyes was like, and mine was too low. But anyway, we loved his picking, and I loved Raymond and his family. But anyway, I said, and I kept looking at Grandpa Jones, and I stared right in his face. I kept and I wondered, what in the cat hair is he doing? That's what I was thinking. So, Mommy come looking for me, and she said, get out of that room and quit bothering that poor old man. And Grandpa Jones said, that's all right, Miss Stoneman, I'll take care of her. He said, you get your fiddle. He knew Mom and Dad evidently. You get your fiddle and tune it up, but I'll take care of her. And I was so proud that I could keep staring at him. And he had the same boots on that he had on Hee-Haw. And they were big old boots, and they didn't fit him, and that was good. Because when I walked down to the concession stand, he said, you want a hot dog? Well, I never had a hot dog. I was used to beans and taters. But you have, okay, I want a hot dog. And I walked all the way around down to the concession stand, and and he said, you want a Coke? Yeah, I wasn't used to Cokes much. And he gave me that and mustard on my hot dog. And on the way back, I spilled some on my shoe. And Grandpa said, you're spilling Coke on your shoe. And I said, oh, and I stopped and I put my drink on the floor, and I started wiping Coke off of my brand new shoe, off of them. And so Grandpa Jones, and then years later, got a job on Hee-Haw with Grandpa again. Of course, we played a lot of shows before that with him, package shows. They used to have package shows from the opera, where about 5 or 6 different acts would go on the road, and they would all have a good time, but it was hard work. That yellow lion is not your friend. A lot of prayers on that for my youngins.
Oh, I bet. And
Lord,
one other thing before we
I told you I'd talk you.
Yes, you did. And my wife tells me I talk a lot.
And you have a wife? Oh,
Yes.
oh yeah.
Yes.
He don't come out. No.
Yeah, somebody asked me the other night, Ronnie, why I was leaving so early. Why are you leaving? I said, well, y'all can't get rid of me that easy. The wife's been trying for 26 years.
Oh, God bless her heart.
And,
She must be a jewel.
Oh,
I gotta see her.
I'll tell you.
Bring her to my house for dinner.
I sure will, Ronnie.
Okay, I want you to.
But before we get another banjo song out of you, I've got to ask you, I'm a dog person. I love animals.
Oh, that's good.
I've got to ask you about a hound dog that was
Oh,
on Hee-Haw.
That stupid
I
dog.
love that dog.
That dog's stupid. He had cold nose every girl he seen with a short dress. And believe you me, there was a lot of short dresses there. One time, and they put a short dress on me, which was rare. This stool was giving birth to it. Anyway, I'm not used to standing there. Well, that's all right. I gotta stand. I gotta sit. I want to. But anyway, that dog would come out. I know the trainer trained it. I'm not gonna hit you with this. I never have yet. Yeah. Almost took off. Almost took off. Wait, I better not say it. I'm thinking, should I say it? When in doubt, don't. But Hank Snow's hair almost took off. That was kind of bad. I felt really bad. And he said, "Hey now, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be running down." And I, oh, sorry. I almost got if I'd have knocked that piece off his head. That was at the field player again, Johnny Wise. Played with him. And he said, "You're fired." It was funny. That was funny. It was funny. It was awful. Anyway, I find a lot of things funny. But anyway, getting back to the dog. You asked me about the dog. All right, the dog. That was Buford and Beauregard. They had Buford later. After Beauregard had a heart attack because of gator. That dog stunk. Lord have mercy. But anyway, he'd sing it in them short dresses. Those girls come down and they'd say, Misty. Misty was good. She said, Sam, I don't like that dog. I love Misty. I don't like that dog. That dog co-noses us. I just don't like it. And the people from People magazine came and they co-nosed me. And I wasn't used to that. You had to take a shower when you did because you slobbered. Oh, gee, terrible. And so I said, Sam, that's the producer. I said, Sam, I love my job. And I love being around my friends here because they're all got the same heart, talent, and they love it. And I love my job, but I swear to you, under God's earth, if that dog code noses me one time, I'm going to choke it to death right here in the floor. And People magazine can take pictures for all I care. And I mean it, Sam, I love you and I love my job. But I will kick this dog's hind end. I will fix it. Don't ever let him do that. And Missy with tears in her eyes, he code knows me too. It's in a different environment. I was raised with people like you there. Good old people. That's how it is.
And she does tell it how it is. When she was here, when we had my 1 year anniversary, Roni showed up, and she was walking to her car after the show, and she said something to me that I'll never forget it.
What did I say?
You were telling me about when Farron Young
Oh, Farron.
that said something to you about your boyfriend.
Oh, praise the Lord, honey, yes. You brought up something else. Well, see, I had a date one time with this fella that I thought was pretty sharp, and he was going to take me to get something to eat. And I said, oh, good, I'll get something to eat. He wanted to ask about hee-haw and all that stuff. But he fed me, so coming out, and he was a kind of a thin fella like yourself. And he come out, going down the steps, and Farron started coming in. Farron called me olive oil because I was so skinny. And he'd say, olive oil. Bird legs. Bird legs. Farron was so good to me. I would get on the road with him, and he would aggravate you to death. But he'd say, hang on, olive oil. He said, turn around to my husband, or the guy was with me. He said, daggone, if you didn't have a wallet and a handkerchief, you wouldn't have a butt at all. And that's how I think about you, my boy.
Later that night, I told that to some people I was sitting with, and this lady sitting there, she goes, was Ronnie looking at your butt? I said, no, my wallet.
Thank you, that's the truth, yes.
And there ain't nothing in my wallet.
Well, I can imagine, yeah. That's why you get girlfriends and wives and everything. Take care of you while you work your dreams.
That's right.
And they're real brave women, believe me.
Yeah, they are.
The Nashville Wives are. Was a book out one time called The Nashville Wives. You wanted to find somebody who's got that and do an interview with the lady who wrote it.
Oh, that's a good idea, Linda. And with that being said, folks,
Nashville Wives.
I'm going to turn it over to Ronnie here, and here's some of that great banjo picking.
Well, thank you. Well, you can sit there.
Oh, I'm going to move your microphone.
Oh, he wants to leave. Okay. All right. Here's one called 49th Birthday.
Howie, Washington, that she's going to be watching this, and she just about a year ago learned how to play the banjo. And when I told her you were going to be on the show, she said, I can't wait to watch it. She just loved to see you play the banjo.
Oh, bless your heart.
So, Coyland, I hope you're watching, cuz.
Coyland is her name?
Coyland.
Coyland? Hot name, Coyland. Sure do like you. Keep on with it. It'll aggravate you to death. Because Daddy made
I
my
had to
first
go and
banjo.
ask.
Yeah, you aggravate and egg me on, and then I'm talking too much.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am. I got a straddle. It's like straddle.
Now I know why we get along so well, because we won't hold we talk too much.
Well, anyway, I remember my first banjo. The neck was this long. Daddy carved it.
Pouring down.
And he was working. It's raining. It's raining,
It's raining here this morning.
My brother, that's my brother did it. That's what my brother used to sing it. My older brothers made music with drum by. Listen to that. Isn't that
Turn her up a little
I love
bit.
the sound of rain.
Oh, yeah.
That rain's drowning her out.
Am I doing okay, Faye, to represent you? She
I
put
think
me
I
in
got
a
her up as loud as we can go.
Faye is greatest manager. You don't have to put echo on it. It's got echo. Here, good.
Okay, let me see here. I'm just learning this board, folks, so.
Well, I make sure I don't have it. Now, it was doing good the way it was.
Yeah, but the rain is drowning you out now.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
that's
but-
all right. We don't care.
Is that better?
I'll get closer. Yeah,
That's better.
it's a little bit higher. It's
Little bit higher.
not so bassy, honey. Yeah, see, this is really cool. You get the ups and downs of this show. You're loud 1 minute and then go down the next. Okay, here we are. It's such a laid-back, interesting show. Never been on one that's so laid-back. Still ever. But I love you, Howie. Hollywood Howie.
We love Ronnie. But I'm going to say something before we go on.
No, Howie, honey.
Uh-oh.
Let me see your new shoes. Duh. This is what I'm talking.
So,
This is all my latest Madonna CD.
Yeah.
yes. That is very good.
Listen to the rhythm of the falling rain.
I I gotta say something. We're coming to you live from Music City Bar and Grill, where population is 9 salute. You know, Ron.
I am so proud. You're such a class act. You're my daughter, not at all. You're a stinker.
And we little Bubba.
You're a little stinker. Get up. I can't hear myself think.
Let's see.
Yeah, it goes down and up. I guess the rain did it. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, that's better. Now I can talk some more.
Hey,
Yeah.
but that picture that I took of you and my grandson a while back, he had the wife printed out,
Oh,
and
honey.
he got it hanging on his wall.
Oh, honey. Tell your grandson I love him today.
Oh, he already knows that.
He
He talks
needs
about you all
prayer.
the time.
He needs prayer.
I know with a papa like me, he needs a whole lot of it.
Yeah, I can feed myself. But anyway, how long does this go on?
We've got about another 15 minutes left.
Oh, good. I can talk. Go ahead.
And with that being said, I'm going to let her pick and talk, and I'm going to use the little boy's room.
Oh, I'm so glad you shared that with the whole world. That's so classy.
It's all over the world.
All right. Everybody, once again, this is Ronnie Stoneman.
Well, you drank coffee and you shouldn't drink it up on the stage anyhow. You could at least wait it. Then you have to go, I gotta go to the outhouse. No, not to do that. Don't tell them. Mommy, I gotta go to the bathroom. Well, I'm coming, dudes. What else can you say? This is unbelievable, the most down-home show ever in my life. But Faye is so good. My manager, Faye Kastner, she is my manager, and she booked me last week in an outhouse. And they had a Sears Roebuck catalog and everything in it. And then the other one, she had in Lizard Lick, Kentucky. She played that too. She's really good to me. Now, but one place I played in the outhouse, and there was corn cobs hanging on the wall. Now, I knew what that was about, but she didn't. She's from a different area. She's from Oregon. Aren't you from, Washington State? Washington State, yeah. She sure is. Did everything come out all right? No, go ahead. I shouldn't have said that. That sounds like my brothers. My brothers talk like that. Oh, not to do that. Mommy taught me better. That's where I learned to dance. I used to clog dance and everything. But I learned to do that because Mama is good with the hickory stick. She had rhythm too. That was good. And Daddy could really whoop good too. He was good. He could whoop. Oh, well.
I got a lot of whooping to these.
No kidding. They should have whooped you more. Now, what else did you want to ask about this?
Oh, yes.
The dog you want to know about cold nose.
We got the dog in. Now, one thing I really love about this show, besides the comedy,
Of course.
was when you got together with Grandpa and Roy, and then you did the gospel music.
Oh, I love that.
Oh man, we got to the heart of the house, we'd go quiet.
Yes. Daddy always did. I got some cylinder records of Edison. Daddy and Mommy recorded with him, and in Camden, New Jersey, in 1924. And I've got those with songs. And the song we used to sing a lot as children. Life is life, nothing real. Remember that song?
Yes, I do.
All right, now do the harmony with me. Blessed
I don't know the words, but I remember the song, unfortunately.
You don't know the words, you old codger.
Hum a few bars.
All right, anyway, getting back to the mutiny. All right, now ask me some more questions.
Ida Lee. Ida Lee.
Idly.
Huh?
That was her name, Ida Lee.
Idly was the baby's name.
Was it?
Yes, that was Idly. I made up something, took it to Sam one day, and I said, about the peeping Tom. I said, there was a peeping Tom at my door window last night. Somebody peeking in it, I believe. Brady was sick. And I said, I said, that was barf all over the windowsill. But he wouldn't let me use that truck. Okay.
So, I gotta ask, how was it working with Buck Owens and Roy Clark?
Well, Buck Owens was okay. He's, he wasn't a Southerner. He was all right. Other than, I'm trying to be nice. What things can I say nice? Let me think about Buck. He stole a lot of songs, that's all I remember that. But after that, I don't. You should never ask. Now ask me about Roy.
Let's hear a little bit about Roy.
Well, did you notice I was feeling your knee?
Yeah.
If you felt mine, I'd drop you like a 1-8 pig. I could do that to you. No, but anyway, Roy, his family was from Virginia as well. Mm-hmm. He had a great family. They had a band, and they played music. But Roy came into D.C. playing all the skull orchards. You know what a skull orchard is. That's when you can walk in a place and you have a contest of how many fights you're going to have that night. It was not, wonderful places, but at one time country music was not heard in concert halls. It started in nightclubs, in skull orchards. Some nightclubs were nice, and some of them were not so nice. But Roy would play our nights off. We played in a place called the Famous Barn Grill, right there on 12 New York Avenue Northwest in D.C., next to a bus station, Greyhound. Now, in any city, and they got a bus, and it's by the Greyhound or Trailways, a bus stop, it's going to be rough. Right. So we played there for many years. We did 5 shows a night for tips, as well as $56 a week on our tip, get paid. And that was what we did. And we had a bucket on the stage, and it was called the pitch pot. If you didn't pitch in the pot tonight, tomorrow night, we did not have a pot to pitch in. And that's what my brothers would say. And we would get tips. And they'd say, if you want to hear a song, write it down on a $100 bill and bring it on up here. If we know it, if we don't know it, we'll write it. Scott was great. And he always had girlfriends. Oh, brother. But he always had these, he called it, and we did a song in the old days called, oh, yonder stands little Maggie with a grain glass in her hand. And he'd say, oh, yonder stands Skaggy Baggy. he would write this awful stuff, and me and Donna would say, Scott, don't do that. Brothers are naughty, and they're going to do things to aggravate. All right, I got a story I want to tell you. Now, you can make yourself useful. This banjo weighs 40 pounds. Okay. And I got to put my scarf on my neck so I won't show my ugly neck. But God, thank you, God, for building it. But anyway, this is a true story, I've got to tell you. I should have brought it today. I found it the other day in a secondhand store, and it was brand new. And I went, hot dogies, this is good. Many years ago, I wanted to work with the Bluegrass Champs. They were my brothers and sisters. It was Daddy had, the younger set played with Daddy, and they were called Hot Stoneman and his Little Pebbles. I was one of the Little Pebbles. And there was my Stoneman brothers. There was the Bluegrass Champs. Now, they were the ones that went on the road and played all these contests and won all the bluegrass contests around Warrenton, Virginia, Maryville, Virginia, Pennsylvania. We did it all in those areas. And we won. But I wanted to work with them all the time. So anyway, I started working with them, and I was so thankful that I got to work with my brothers and sisters in the better group that was kind of bluegrassy on the road. So I couldn't wear Donna's skirt because she had curves, but my measurements were 9, 10, 11, honest. I was stringy, just up and down. I wore cross-your-heart Band-Aids here, you know, not cross-your-heart. I wore my bra backwards, but I was fun to dance with. But I was flatter than a flitter, right here. And I was skinny as a rail, and Donna was curvy. So I thought, Donna, I had to wear her skirt because I didn't have a uniform that matched the group. So Donna said, I can let you use this skirt, but Ronnie, it's very expensive. It's all I got, but you can wear it in the same color of our, our pants and our outfit. And I said, okay, but I put it on and it hung. It almost hung. It hung. It looked like it was on a coat hanger. So they went downtown Washington and bought me an undergarment. This is the truth, honest truth. And it had a fake butt in it. It did. It had you had pads back there. And I was skinny as a brick. I didn't have a hind end. I was worse than, I didn't have a wallet back there either, like you do. So anyway, they bought it for me, and I was able to fit in Donna's skirt without it falling down. And then we played this contest in Warrington. Thousands of people were on that hill. We were down there on the stage, right above over the water, and they would come. They were all sitting there for thousands. There was about 60,000 at that park. And I'm up there, and I'm working real hard on my banjo, trying to keep up with the family, and I was so thankful I was there. And Scott had gone out and got these hat pins that had a pearl end on them. You ever seen those? The pearl end on them, and he had 12, and he stuck them in my hind end. I didn't feel it because it was rubber. And then he told me to turn around and say hey to the people over there. And I did, and you could see it looked like a porcupine. I didn't know it. And then he said, take a bow to these, and I did. And I had all these hat pins stuck in my hind end, and Donna was saying, Scott, don't do that. But I didn't know he was doing that. Donna took up for me, but the audience was in hysterics because they knew in those days, that's what you could do is buy that stuff. I guess you can now. But my golly, I had 12 hat pins stuck in that rubber butt. Ever heard of a rubber butt? But anyway, I was at this second-hand store and I found one. It had a rubber butt. I can't wait to take it to Donna. She's 70. Donna is 87 now. 87 years old, but plays so good still. I'm 82. I got a lot of good memories and a lot of fun thinking, but if you don't laugh and don't learn to laugh and you take yourself too serious, honey, you're going to have a troubled life. You've got to laugh at yourself. You've got to learn to laugh at yourself. You've got to smile and make other people smile, and it makes you grow old. You'll fall by the wayside like poor old thing. I'm just teasing you. I love you. Here, I'll play one more. My legs hurt. Oh, honey, what am I? Get on your paper. I ain't bringing you anymore.
All right, folks, we're going to end the show with Roni. It's about that time you want to play music to Water. And
let's keep talking and I'll play behind you.
all right, well, we're going to thank Rodney and Jennifer Collins here at Music City Bar and Grill for letting us come out and do our show here each and every week. Starting today, we will be here every Monday from 12:30 to 1:30. And in the words of Ernest Tubb, y'all be better than your neighbors and you'll have better neighbors. Take it away, Ronnie.
That was great.
Now y'all can erase anything you don't like.
That damn thing almost caught fire.